chat room, and we will take care about that at the end of the session. We record that to give all others the opportunity to look at it later who are not able to join today. Great. So in our Deloitte Banking Trend Radar series, you all know and already saw it on our Deloitte Banking Trend Radar website, that we started our trend research 2-3 years ago, had a lot of publication, and from this year, January on, we started to have webinars about some specific trends, so you can discuss these trends with our experts who are already in the market, developing these trends, bringing trends into banks, into clients. And today we are discussing a very important trend, I think, not just for retail banks, but for all kind of banks beyond banking. So, which means for me, offering to clients of banks something that is not related to normal banking services, but our experts will detail that a little bit better than I can. And our experts you see on the slide today are Andreas, partner in our core banking operations, taking care about future banks, about developing banking solutions for clients. So happy to have you, Andreas. But also Zahar, manager in his team, very experienced also in core banking operations, about these trends, about these developing beyond banking. But we also have Ben from our one of our garage. So our garages are forward-looking, so developing new trends, developing new products for our clients, for the banks. So happy to have you also, Ben, to discuss a little bit your view from the garage on these very interesting trend. So after that, Sahar, maybe you can tell us a little bit what is on the agenda for today.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much first, Thomas. Let me first say thank you to the organizer of this session for putting all of this together. And appreciate the chance to share some insights from our very brand new study on beyond banking in this session. So what is on the agenda for today? So we will explore the concept of beyond banking, its definition, but also its development in the last years in the German market. We will delve into how the market is actually evolving beyond traditional financial services. I will share banking perspectives based on our interviews with banking experts, specifically from product strategy and innovation, and more focus on how institutions are adapting on beyond banking. Ben will also share the customer perspectives with us, highlighting the shifting expectation and needs of, let's say, modern consumer based on our survey, which was run in March this year with actually end customer. So that's the agenda for today's session. And I think without further ado, I would like first to hand over to you, Andreas, with a little bit overview on the market, but also beyond banking as a concept.
Thank you, Zara. And maybe we should clarify the first question. What is really this beyond banking? And maybe I can start with one topic that I think it's not a buzzword. It's more than a buzzword. For me, it's something like a symbol, or maybe, at least a paradigm shift in banking. That we see a moving from being just exclusively selling financial service products towards providing products which have a wider range beyond banking. So, and this ambition, in my opinion, is that we see banking developing their business models beyond the traditional lines and comfort zones. And this underlines that the ambition is that they at one point of time are a service provider which is more diverse. In this sense, beyond banking means for us as end consumers, also from banking perspective, that we can access not only financial service products at our banking suites, but also maybe innovative and more individual products that fulfill our needs. So this is something beyond banking has as a target. So beyond banking is something, in my view, which will transform or have a transition of new models for banks. And for banking and financial service providers will mean that they will be much closer to their customers because they need to understand the needs of their customers. So this is something I would say at first, which in my opinion is beyond banking. So that was also the starting point, I would say, for our study when we started to think internally about what is this beyond banking topic. And after the study, we would say we believe that banks now need to embrace this beyond banking journey, not only to navigate rapidly in this evolving markets we see outside, but also to ensure steady growth rates in the future. And beyond banking can be one of the choices they can take to come to maybe more stable and profitable way in the future. One reason for this statement in our discussions internally, why we say now is the time to invest into beyond banking topics, is that the interest rate developments have numerous effects on banking and financial sectors. Beyond banking can help, is not the only solution, to establish a capital market independent line for businesses that generate additional fees and especially commission-based fees. And this is why we think it's now the time to invest into those beyond banking ecosystems topics, because you can mitigate also other market risks and have a positive effect on the profitability in the future. So beyond banking is not only about revenues. It's also the reason to look deeper into the beyond banking ecosystems, and we will see later on examples for them, is that considering the accelerating technology topics and the developments there, we see a lot of potential there, and also in the changing customer expectations about services in general, but also about banking services, that now with this technology developments, there's much more room to come closer to a customer interaction, to have personalized also services and improve efficiencies. And beyond banking is paying into those topics, because you will learn to work as a bank, to partner with other partners, to have a much brighter service offering portfolio than today. So what we believe is that beyond banking will transform the traditional banking area worldwide, and also in Europe, and especially in the German retail market, where our study was focusing on. And that's why I want to get a little bit closer, maybe into also figures. What we see in different studies, not only our study, but also market research topics, is that there's expected a tremendous growth in beyond banking. Some estimates talk about at least 15% per year growth rates. Worldwide, it's expected that the market will be in 2 years around about $55 billion. Great. And this is something we see on the figure side. Other points is that there is a tremendous development worldwide on the world stage, you can say. Not only the big tech companies, as we know, are stepping into the financial service area, Apple and Google and so on. In China, for example, Alibaba, Tencent, and others are already integrating seamlessly financial services into their service portfolio and their offerings. So on a world perspective, it's already started, I would say. If I look into the German market, it's a little bit different view. I would resume that all German banks externally communicated in the last decade that they will step into a beyond banking world, that they desire more product range than the traditional banking product range is. But however, our study and also our analysis in the last months show that in the most cases, maybe it stopped at the near banking product suite, which include insurance products or cashback products or bonus products. But going really beyond the banking and financial service area, there are not that many examples in the German and also in the European markets. We had a deeper look into 87 leading retail banks in Germany, and only 43 of them promoted actively products which go in the direction of beyond banking. Most of them, nearly 90% of them, you could maybe classify as near banking products because still it was really close to the core business. And that's why we decided maybe to define in our study the framework a little bit broader with a bolder term of beyond banking. As you can see on this slide, on the left side, it starts always with the core. So there shouldn't be a beyond banking journey which is not directly dependent or integrating a core product of a bank. But what's necessary, and in our view, really something banks should think about, is go beyond the near, which is close. For example, the home insurance product as complement to your products in your suite as a banking provider. Go beyond that and think in our example on this slide about integrating our smart home services and devices. So this is something we defined in our framework as necessary. And this opens up maybe also a space for different offerings and also industries we at that point of time don't think in banking about. You see in the middle of the slide that we opened up room for our key ecosystem partners. And here are many which are in some cases already in discussion in banking institutes, but others which are far away to be in discussions as room for development of beyond banking products. And as you can see in our framework, and the colleagues later on will go deeper into examples and also results of our study, we try to find out from all perspectives, from banking side, from also investor side, but also especially from end consumer side, where are the sweet spots you should invest into? And this framework includes the sector's view, but also the core, near and beyond banking view on the left side. So, and that's the point where I would hand over now to Sahar to show us the banking perspective and the results about, the study.
Yeah.
Andreas, may I have a question before?
Yeah.
So, very good overview. You're saying, but what are the biggest obstacles for bank to implement beyond banking in your view?
Yeah, good question. And to be precise and honest, it's maybe not only the answer to the beyond banking topic because it's the classical ones, I would say. One topic is, are you prepared to integrate partners from a legacy perspective? We all know that we have still a huge legacy problem in banks to be up to date and to be up to date to integrate on a technical side partners into my journey or to integrate my services in their journey. So this is something I see as an obstacle to, I would say they need to be prepared. They need to invest into technology, if not already done in the last decade. The other topic is it's still a banking environment. So regulatory-wise, we need to have a close look on partners, but also on products. Where are the regulatory burdens we need to see, and where is also the level playing field we can step into. And combined to those two topics, I would say it's the customer trust topic. So we need to find the spots where customers trust us as a bank that we are a good provider for a service. So I would say as a bank, you have a great trust normally from a client perspective, but there are also areas where they don't see us. So finding the right business case with the right spot where a customer sees us is also a topic.
So very important for banks, not just to look from the marketing department on it. It's really a very, very broad topic, right?
Yes. It's a broad topic, and you need to include all departments to have a proper strategy on it. It's not an IT-driven topic. It's not only a marketing topic. You need also the department which can, yeah, oversee the whole topic. And as I said before, it's for me always a journey from core to near to beyond. So you see the complexity in this topic.
Thank you very much for share that view with us. Sahar, so you're also an expert, a member of our Beyond Banking team at Deloitte, and you led a lot of interviews with experts in strategy, product development, innovation at banks. So let's talk about your perspective on the banking side.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Thomas, and also Andreas for the perfect introduction. Before diving into the results, I would really like to give you a briefly outline what was the aim of the study and what approach we took. So our Deloitte Beyond Banking team in Germany led a comprehensive qualitative and quantitative study, bringing two perspectives together. So first conducting over 20 interviews with senior banking experts, as you say, Thomas, with a focus on strategy, innovation, and product management. So these interviews represent the view of the traditional banks and neobanks in Germany. In additional, also to reflect the opinion of the end consumer, we run a survey with almost about 2,000 participants in March this year. And participants were asked actually ranging in different topics from demographics, bank behavior, preferences, but also to openness to using beyond banking use cases in different ecosystems that we just described, introduced. So let me first walk you quickly through our hypothesis that we made for the banking part. So the first hypothesis mainly focused on the urgency of beyond banking, so the strategic urgency of beyond banking for banks. And this hypothesis has been confirmed by interview partners who emphasize the critical need for banks to innovate and expand their service beyond traditional offerings which are already in the market. And as Andreas already shared, so we took a look on the offerings, or let's say beyond banking offerings, which are already in the market. And from our point of view, they are more near banking and as mentioned, products like cashbacks, mainly insurance product, and we will categorize them in the near banking field or not beyond banking. So another insights from this part was what are actually the drivers for these factors. So what are the factors that are driving this topic further for the bank? So including the impact of the monetary policy, as was mentioned, and the changes during the time, the cost pressure, which is still existing if you take a look on the cost ratio of different banks in Germany, also to the need to bring a high level of quality and client satisfaction. And especially the challenges in the market associated with new market interest, which is given. And our interviews also believe that beyond banking could help banks to strategically position themselves and to meet these challenges, but also to maintain a competitive edge in the long term. The second hypothesis focus mainly on the potential review, and I think this is something that's very interesting to look on it. And it's also emphasized that the traditional interest-based income comes again because of the interest rate situation in Europe under a lot of pressure, and banks could enhance their financial stability in the long term by creating new revenue streams which could be generated from non-banking traditional services or products. And this conversation also again highlighted the relevance of diversifying the product and services to reduce the reliance on the traditional income sources, which is directly linked to the interest rate situation in Europe. Another interesting fact was the differentiated view on the revenue potential of beyond banking products. We have on one side up to 5 to 10% growth potential, which was indicated, and the other group more up to 20%, which were mainly driven through personalized offerings or data monetization models or partnership modeling, which could contribute and realize these revenue potentials in middle to long term. The last hypothesis was mainly focused on the broader customer needs to enhance customer loyalty and experiences within the entire life cycle as a consumer with a bank. And here again was the signal that it could help to improve the relation to client, upselling, cross-selling for other products. And on the long term, this should be actually a mainly focus to develop new products. I would like also, before jumping to trend assessment, I would like to also share two other highlights from the interview. One common perspective, which I think it was very interesting, was that it was more about the outlook of the banking, and it was a common, let's say, feeling that there will be a time of consolidation for the banks until 2030, and because of the cost pressure, this is something that needs to be considered, how beyond banking could be part of the strategic agenda in the next 3 to 4 years, and which I think outline again the relevance of this topic for the banking industry in the next years. Another perspective shared by the interviewers was the flexibility that this kind of product could provide to move from core to beyond and vice versa, especially in time of bank-friendly monetary policy, where you actually have more revenues from core banking. So that will also provide kind of flexibility to banks to see how they can manage their revenue streams. But let's take a look to our trend assessment that we provide. So the results of our trend evolution are presented based on the Trend Radar logic, act, prepare, on watch. I hope you're all familiar with this model. And what do we want to reach with that? So we want to create a sense of orientation on how our clients could proceed with the trends in their own business context. And I would like to outline two core messages I would like to share. First, we see a strong influence on corporate strategy, product, and services. And therefore, we see the topic anchored in the innovation strategy of the bank. And if the bank have not yet reached or decide where to embed this topic, so beyond banking, the strategic agenda, the recommendation is to act now. In addition, we see a time frame of 4 to 6 years to adopt beyond banking products by most of the banks within banking industry, especially in Germany. Again, the recommendation is here for banks to prepare within the next 1 to 2 years to see what they can create out of this concept, and it's very individually to each bank. Now I would like to introduce you the top ecosystem ranked by the banks. Andreas already introduced our Deloitte Beyond Banking ecosystem in the beginning. And now I would like to share very quick what are the top 3 home, education, and necessities are the top ecosystem ranked by the bank. We have some idea what are the reasons, and we actually discuss with the experts why do they see those 3 ecosystems, especially as first moving star for beyond banking scene. So first, for the home ecosystem, obviously our clients also see a shift towards sustainable and efficient living. And there is where the banks see themselves, where they can offer a lot of services, especially in terms of energy advising or renovation, or even providing financing solution. And it not only meet the direct consumer needs, but also it's aligned with many banks' broader strategic goal in terms of environmental sustainability, etc. For the education ecosystem, I think banks see itself as influencer or educator, especially for the young generation, to make kind of know-how transfer, how they have to handle with money and finance. And it might be also an interesting field because over this they can also make sure or engage more customer for maybe complex financial products which might be not in use at all right now. And the last ecosystem is a necessity. It's about our daily retail choices that we make, grocery, sport, culture, everything about that. And here again, banks believe they can play a more important role in this term, especially through e-commerce partnership or innovation tools that they can offer, for example, carbon footprint calculator, where they can become a more integrated partner in the entire shopping experience. They could also position themselves as an essential lifestyle facilitator or engaging better customers. So this is actually the banking perspectives from my end. And I think before jumping to the next slides, maybe we can have the customer perspectives, which will be shared by Ben.
Yeah, sure. So just to complete this matrix, we looked at the consumer demand for beyond banking use cases within these ecosystems, and that's how we've placed the ecosystems along the x-axis on this matrix here. So necessities is the #1 ecosystem demanded by consumers, and therefore we see it as the soonest to achieve mainstream adoption. And we've placed the other ecosystems in accordance with the relative demand that we've seen from consumers. So now I can just introduce the study that we did for the consumer demand perspective here. And as Sahar mentioned, we surveyed over 2,000 consumers, so German consumers of retail banks. And the study, it was important for us that the study was completely representative of the German population. So we have a representative split of genders, income, household income levels, location or place of residence in terms of metropolitan versus rural areas, also types of banks that people engage with. So we have a representative sample of people who are customers of traditional banks versus neobanks, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a very representative sample, and that gave us some insight into the relative demand of consumers and particular segments for beyond banking use cases and ecosystems. And we also were able to generate a few interesting insights into overall consumer behavior in terms of banking. So we've learned that people actually preferring to interact with banks via mobile apps rather than online these days. So we found that banking apps have a market penetration of about 65%, whereas online banking products, so desktop products, have a market penetration of only 61%. So that's an interesting trend that we're seeing, and also kind of hints towards this opportunity for banks to play more in these distribution channels that are mobile first. Yeah, so to the actual results, I think the biggest takeaway here is that 96% of the consumers that we surveyed indicated that they would be open, willing to use a banking product in at least one beyond banking ecosystem. And that's a clear indication or validation of the demand of customers for products that are outside of the current banking product portfolio. And then just taking a look at the actual ranking of the ecosystems by the consumers, we see that necessities is the #1, as I mentioned before. So necessities are all of those things that relate to daily expenditure. And we believe that consumers ranked the ecosystems highest when they see a proximity to their current spending behavior or interaction with financial products, and a frequency to using those types of products. Then, interestingly, security was the number 2 ecosystem by consumers. And here they indicated that they would be open for banks to offer alternative asset security products, and also data management and ID products. Then, interestingly, home was the 3rd ecosystem. That's an interesting result because home was the number 1 ecosystem rated by the banks, but no generation or income level indicated that home should be the number 1 ecosystem that banks should play in. We suspect that may be because people don't interact with banks on a regular basis in terms of their home ecosystem outside of mortgages, and often that's kind of a set and forget behavior and not so much of a daily necessity as the top 2 ecosystems are. And then we have, to round out the list, the mobility ecosystem, leisure, healthcare, education, and media. And just looking at the generational differences, it was interesting to see that healthcare was rated quite highly by generations, Generation Y, Generation Z, but not the kind of middle-aged generations. And we suspect that may be because people are more aware in the younger generation of mental health issues around finances, perhaps, or because they've just been indelibly impregnated by the awareness of health after coming through COVID as they've matured. And then in terms of the income preference differences, it was interesting to see that the lower income levels would have appreciated beyond banking ecosystems around education. So perhaps that hints towards low income people suspecting that they need more financial education, whereas when you move up to the higher income levels, you see that there's probably more comfort in their ability to manage their own finances. And then in terms of the banking types, so customers of neobanks rated mobility and leisure ecosystems more highly, and that again suggests that they are more affine with using their apps to manage their everyday life. And for traditional banking customers, we saw that there was a higher ranking for the home ecosystem. So we have lots of insights, I'd say, into all of the different segments here. This is just a taster for now, and you have the link to our study in the chat. So please take a look at our study for some more detailed analysis. And I can move to the next slide now to just say, zoom out for a second and say, okay, we have 8 ecosystems. They're very broad. They touch almost every aspect of a person's life. But as a bank, where do you start, or how do you actually approach this topic of beyond banking? And here we have outlined 4 main pillars to approach the topic. And we could use this framework as a means to assess the maturity of beyond banking initiatives within banks. So we have on the left side, setting the agenda. So all of the strategic topics of where do you want to play as a bank? What kinds of ecosystems do you really want to pursue? Then on the top right, you have managing the portfolio. So this is, okay, looking at all of the initiatives that we have within our bank. And often banks have lots of beyond banking initiatives, but in a rather decentralized fashion. How do we manage these initiatives as a kind of portfolio view, get a good idea of the governance and the metrics and assessment of whether these are effective initiatives? And then in the middle pillar, you see the building process. So how do you actually manage identifying what initiative you want to pursue, designing it, piloting it, launching it, marketing it, and scaling it? And that needs often a fairly structured process. And then the final pillar is fueling the development. So all of the kind of enabling functions that would support successful beyond banking initiatives. So this is kind of our framework. Again, we're just kind of touching the surface as we have only a few minutes today, but it's included in our study, and we'd encourage further contact if you have any questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Zaha, Ben, Andreas. And audience, please feel free to post your questions into the Q&A session. But maybe to Ben, may you allow me to also have the first question. So for sure, I would not be the next generation banking customer, but during your presentation, I thought about what would I wish from my bank, from my broker, from my payment provider. So when looking to the highest rating beyond banking ecosystems, what do you think are the biggest difference between the bank's perspective and the client and the customer perspective? So I think they are not that much aligned currently, but let's talk about the differences between those perspectives a little bit.
Yeah, so I think the biggest one was, well, there's two that come to mind. The first is the home ecosystem. So Zaha mentioned that home was the #1 ecosystem from the banking perspective, and that's probably because banks have the highest profit margin in their mortgage products, and they see the biggest potential there to offer use cases around consultation for energy products to make their homes more efficient, etc. But as I mentioned in my presentation as well, as a consumer, you don't have so many interactions with your bank around the home ecosystem. So there's a slight divide there in terms of what the bank sees as a potential and what the customer sees as value from the bank. And then one of the most surprising results was the education ecosystem, because the banks rated that as the second highest ecosystem, and the consumers rated that as the 7th. And we actually found that consumers have a very high expectation of how financially literate they are already. So we suspect that generally consumers overestimate how literate they are financially. And so they don't see any real need or use for the banks to offer educational products. It may also be that as a consumer, to be educated by your bank around financial products may feel a little bit biased, and not there may be a bridge to cross in terms of the trust a consumer would need to feel from their bank to be educated around financial products and topics. So those are the two big distinctions or differences between the consumer perspective and the banking perspective.
Thank you very much for that. So we have the first questions in the Q&A, maybe to Zaha at first. So why do you think Beyond Banking has not been as successful as anticipated? And what are the key challenges might be holding it back?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. It's a very good question. So I actually would like also bring some insights from the interview. So one reason what we heard was this topic is actually seen as a strategic topic, but because of all other prioritized, let's say, as we know, the entire banking industry undergoes a huge transformation in different topics, right? So starting from digitalization, new product, also digitalization the entire process in front end, back end, etc. So there are a lot of things going on. And so my understanding is that let's say there is always someone missing who is really taking care of this part, of Beyond Banking and the development, and there is no strict plan how could it be developed and implemented in the company. And it is, I think, it's a not easy discussion because again, something that I can share and I already shared. So every bank has a kind of different understanding of Beyond Banking. I think that's also clear because a bank has its own corporate identity, branding, tradition, culture, and it's the question if this is something they feel comfortable to moving, out of the comfort zone and providing something to the market which is completely not aligned with the current product. So it's kind of cultural change also in the I think especially in the traditional banks, which bring also I think maybe one or other challenges to the table. The other topic is, I guess, so from my point of view, this term has been also in the past used to be innovative or compete with other, let's say banks, but not actually really having a good understanding of what customer needs or expectation are. And I think if we can skip this part and more focus on the customer needs and expectations, that might be a better or successful story to sell, but also to market beyond banking products to the market. So that's what I can contribute to this question.
Thank you, Zahar. Maybe for the last 1-2 minutes we have, I would combine two questions for Andreas. So one is about personalization of beyond banking, but maybe embedded in a little bit much broader question. So do you have concrete examples of successful beyond banking solutions? So maybe combine that questions, and I give you a minute.
Personalization first is a crucial topic in this area. I think we already learned from Ben what clients expect from banks, right? And they expect personalized solution and services. So we need to find ways to understand personas and also the client needs, and technology is helping on this topic, right? So we see especially on the AI topic, but also standard solutions that can help us to understand the client needs better, to have great examples of beyond banking portfolios at the end. And especially I see good results in regional structures in banking. One company in Austria, for example, they are fully focusing their beyond banking products on regional partnerships. And this is something that works very well because people accept this also on the topic of sustainability, that they get entrance into product suites of regional companies and benefits when they do it over their banking account. And this is something that works really well. I saw this last year in two examples where regional banks are ahead to traditional bigger banks because they use their niche. And maybe this is also something we should combine into our discussions, that you should start with a niche and then expand your portfolio, and it's working then end to end from core to beyond.
Great, thank you much. So what I take from this session for me personally is that it's a topic that especially for me as a customer of a bank, where banks should think about. I think beyond banking, finding the right solutions for the banking offerings, I think will be in the next years more than today a big differentiator between the banks, between brokers, between payment institutions. So I think a topic that cannot be missed in a bank in the strategy thinking and thinking about new offerings. So thank you again very much. Thank you all participants to join. As always, we will post on our Deloitte Banking Trend Radar website this session. And please feel free, if you have further questions to ask our experts, to send them via our website to have further discussion about that very important trend. Just looking a second to our next webinar, which will take place in October on the 17th at the same time, always at 2 p.m. We will discuss a little bit the episode of climate transition, So I think also very important thing. Maybe I would also have some ideas to link the climate transition with beyond banking. I think there will be some use cases in the very near future. So if you're interested, please join us again on the 17th of October this year at 2 p.m. And hope we will see you again. Thank you very much, and we will close the session. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.